Hello, welcome to Boardgames with Niramas. We're back for another segment of the top 100. This time, Draco is here, of course, with his. He wants me to show him like this. His Christmas suit, his Santa suit. But that's not all of it. We have Mats here and Andreas.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back. It's that time of year again. We're going to do our top. Well, this time it's top 25.
Yay.
5 games every year.
And I'm just going to tell you, this is because I now actually played 25 games.
Exactly. So 2018, I think it was, we did top 10 together. And then 2019, I think it was top 10 again. And then 2020, you did top 20 because then Mats had played 20 games.
Yeah.
And now
Mats I played 25 games. So I'm really happy to be able to do this. So next year we're aiming for 30 maybe, if I'm lucky.
That is all a lie. I know that Mats have played so many new board games this year.
Yeah.
Like so many board games. But unfortunately, Mats, like we can't have our games after Essen on the list. Josef has told us the rules here. And I know that Mats loves a few new games that was released on Essen.
The thing is though, because I have the rule of the day of Essen starting, Essen Spiel in Germany is in October, then that's the deadline. Then all the games have like a full year to be played and evaluated before it's time for the next year's top 100. So I think it's fair to the game. So we don't just get like first impression, oh, this is so fun right now. But
yeah, we need to get like 100 plays of each game before we can put it on.
Exactly, yeah.
So 100 plays. All right, yeah.
Before we get started though, I do want to say that this will be the 25 to 10. And then next Sunday, you will see the 10 to 1 in this, but not in the same setup. Hopefully, we can meet up and actually do an in-person recording for the last 10. And we're hoping for it. So we'll see next week.
That would be super fun.
Yeah.
Really.
It is better, of course. But we're doing this right now. It's a sort of solution here. Now, before we get started, also, I want to ask you, do you have any like honorable mentions? Because like I, of course, shared my 100 and you guys only do the 25. Is there anything you really want to mention that didn't make it into the 25?
I ranked almost 350 games. And but there are some games like For Sale is no longer on my top 25.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
For instance, which is a brilliant auction game.
Yeah.
And Grand Austria Hotel is new on the list, but it's hard to reach top 25 in the first year for me. You will probably see it on Mats' list. He loves it.
Okay.
Who knows? And Suburbia is no longer on the list either.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So there have been some changes in my list.
I actually have 4 games that were on my top 20 list this year. They just fallen off this 25 list. And that's basically due to no plays last year. So it's not that the games are bad or anything. It's just that you haven't played them. I wouldn't say they're new games, but they're new games to me and new games on my list. So it's getting tough up in the top 25, I would say, of games, because there's so little difference between how to rank them in different positions. But yeah, that's part of the tricky thing, right?
So, Andreas, do you have any number on how many new ones there are in your top 25?
7 games.
Okay. Yeah. But it might not be new to you, but they're new on the list, right?
If they are new, I will let you know. If they are super new. It's funny though, I also checked how many designers I have. I'm not sure if you have that stats, but
it's just one, right? It's just Uwe Rosenberg.
25 Uwe games.
In my top 25, it has been designed by 23 different designers or design pairs. One designer has 3 games on the list.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Yeah. I wonder who it could be.
Who can it be? All right. Yeah.
I haven't really looked at those stats. I might do that next year. That could be a fun thing to add to the list.
That's a funny aspect. I'm going to look at that too.
Yeah.
And also 2015 and 2016 are my favorite years apparently.
Yeah.
And that has changed. Earlier I think it was 2012. But the list have changed.
We actually did that. We can mention that for those of you our English or English speaking listeners here or viewers, that we also have a Swedish podcast together, the 3 of us, that we record every 14 days or so. In that one, we had an episode a while ago where we talked about our favorite years in board gaming. So we have been in on that topic. And if you understand Swedish, you should check it out. It's called Snacka brädspel. But if you don't understand Swedish, don't check it out because you're not going to understand anything.
Yeah. So it's a way to learn Swedish.
That's true if you're trying to learn it. So, and hopefully next year we can do our top 100 together, and everyone being in on actually the whole list, like 100 games, right?
Yeah,
that will be fun.
Okay, let's start off. Andreas, you will be first to go here. We're gonna do the number 25.
All right, so my number 25 was number 24 last year, so it's still on the list. It's The Networks, released 2016, designer Jill Hova. One of the most thematic games I know, like a Euro combined with good thematics. Each player is running its own TV network, and you're competing for viewers, and so you have like an 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. time slot, and in the game you're trying to get new shows for these time slots and populate them with ads and stars, and it has a drafting mechanism. So each time it's your turn, you're taking a card from a display, like a market, a few different markets at once, and the game is super tight. The money is super low. It's really well balanced and everything. So this is one of my. It has been on my list for a few years now. I really like The Networks.
Yeah, it was my number 55. I had to check here about it.
Yeah.
So I also know that you played the Rivals version, right? The 2-player version that came out this year.
Yeah, I played it once or twice.
What was your impression there? Was it
when like 2-player games? You often compare them to the great ones like Seven Wonders Duel, etc. And I don't think it was nearly as good.
Yeah.
So, and if it's not that good, it won't get played as much. So, still okay game. If you don't have any 2-player games, maybe you can check it out.
If you really like The Networks as well, maybe.
Yeah. The Networks, my number 25.
That's a good choice. That's a good game. My 25 on the list is Star Wars Rebellion. This is falling quite far down on my list. I think it was like 3rd place when we did this the first time or something, really high up, but it hasn't been played in the last 2 years, which means that it sort of has fallen down. It's a fantastic game to sort of, like you said, Andreas, connecting the mechanisms and the theme together in the Star Wars. I think it's perfect, good, excellent 2-player game. Just a bit big to pick out of the box and set up, but when you do it, and it's a great game to play.
I don't think we ever played this together, Mats.
No, we need to do that maybe. That should be on the to-do list.
Absolutely. I played it a few times, but not with you. So
no. I never played. I played it with Keith. And then I played with my son a little bit. So
do you own it?
Yeah.
Okay. With the expansion as well?
Yeah.
All right. Then
I think you need the expansion too.
I agree. Yeah, you really need.
Without the expansion, it's not. So I'm including the expansion. That's a good point.
It adds a lot in the combat. I remember, like it improves the combat.
You have the cards, and sort of that's a different game.
It's less randomness, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah, you can control a bit more than just the dice rolling, so it's good.
It's a game that I haven't played yet.
You should. You should.
Not sure if I ever will. I mean, who has time to play that game?
Yeah, it's 5 hours. But you would enjoy the Empire side, so you can do some deduction as well. I guess Mats, I guess you prefer the rebel side because then you don't need to deduce anything.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, Joseph.
Yeah, my number 25 has gone up. It was 48 last year, and I'm not even sure I played it since last year. I think it's more in my mind that I want to play it. I talked about this in one of the previous videos I made, where some of the games are because I played them recently. I really enjoyed them. Some of them are good memories from back in the days, and some are things I want to play soon. And I should also mention that on my list here, there's 3 more new games, totally new games. 2 of them comes in this segment, and the last one is in the top 10. So there's a spoiler for you. There's a new one in top 10. My number 25 is Automania. And I don't think I played Automania over the last year. I'm not sure. Maybe I have. I don't remember, to be honest, when we played it. I played it with you, Andreas. I know for sure.
Yeah, I think we played it online.
Yeah, we did that. Yes, we did play it. Since that's why.
I think it was on... never mind. if it was Tabletopia or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played it online. I know.
I really like it for the it's like you know, sort of classic, I guess, in the sense that game with like you make something, then you sell it to get points, in a sense. But it's really fun how you make the cars, and then you set up your factory basically, and you modify your factory as you go, depending on what is in demand. So if they really want to like more faster cars, they want environmental green cars or whatever, then you can adjust your factory on the go. So it's kind of tactical game in that sense, which I do tend to enjoy. And then you run your factory producing the cars, and then you ship them off. And it's really fun because you also ship them to 2 different markets, or you're going for Europe or North America. And sometimes it's beneficial to go to one of them, and sometimes it's better to go to the other one, or mix it up. And then you also have your asymmetrical companies. So my company might be better at doing electrical cars than Andreas' companies or whatever. So a really fun one. I know you guys enjoy this one as well.
It's actually my number 26.
Well, there we go. Okay. Yeah.
It's an excellent game.
Yeah.
I really like the worker placement aspect in this game. It's like fun. When you like if you have selected something, then I can do the same. Like I can use the same spot.
Yeah.
And bounce your workers back.
But you need to use more workers. So
yeah. So it's really
that's a really fun aspect of it as well. I really like the bumping. So I might think that I'm out, sort of. I already used all my workers, but then one of you guys go and take my spot, and all of a sudden I get a worker back. I really like that feeling in those games. So it's going to be said a lot of times during this evening, but then I'm gonna say it for the first time. We need to play this soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So someone can keep a counter on this.
Yeah, exactly. We should have a little counter down here. Like, how many times did we say we're gonna play something soon?
you have to fix that.
I'll fix that in the post editing.
And a year from now, we're gonna sit here. Oh, we didn't play that. We should have played that. So yeah. Okay.
All right. So that was 25. Let's move on to number 24.
My number 24 is a new game on the list. I think I sort of forgot to include it in last year. So that is why it was not on the list last year. There are a couple of games that that will appear on this list that I didn't even rank last year. And so my number 24 is Spirit Island, which was released in 2017. Designer is Eric Royce or something like that. It's one of my favorite cooperative games where you play spirits on an island trying to fend off invading forces. So I can't remember the tagline on the box, but it's something about destroying settlers or something. It's really fun.
Settlers of Catan in reverse.
Yeah, so normally games are about building things, but this is like just flip it and either be the like the jungle or the ocean or the fires or the lightning or something. And there are a bunch of different spirits in the base game, and I think that you can play the base game over and over again, like so many times. And then they released at least a couple of expansions. I have none of them. I don't think that I have played all of the spirits in the base game yet. So this is a game that I would recommend playing as a pair, like 2 players, at most 3. Playing with 4 is probably one of the worst things that you can do.
I doubt that. I think if everyone knows the game well,
unless you're trapped on a desolated island or something somewhere and you don't have anything better to do, then you can play 4, right?
Obviously, there are other things that are worse, but if you can choose, play this with 2 players.
It's very complex. That's the thing, right? It's heavy in a sense. So
yeah, it's very. Yeah, it's rather complex like you have to follow. It has a pretty good round structure that you can follow, and you really have to follow that. And it becomes a lot easier to manage when you play the game or 2 or 3 of it. So you know that, okay, after explore, then they'll build, then they will ravage, then they will do something else, and then you will flip a card, and then you check this marker here, etc. Do you have 10 fear? Then you draw a card here, then you flip that, and then you say blah 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 blah. It's a lot of things.
It's not that much randomness. I mean, you sort of know what they will be doing. You don't know, of course, it's randomness in which order they will go, like what area they will go after.
Yeah, so the game has like a built-in timer. It's a stacked deck of cards where all of the different land types show up +1. So each one of land types will show up twice or something like that. And that is the randomness, and also which order they come up. Sort of, but it's great, and you can it's very, very easy to adjust the difficulty as well. There are a bunch of adversaries and stuff that you can add. It's a fun game. Yeah. Okay, that was my number 24. Mats,
good one.
You're up.
Game is falling off my top 10 list, so it's falling from number 10 to 24, which is Gugong. This is the game.
It is a big drop.
It's a big drop, but it's it was an expansion. I haven't got it to the table yet. That I got this spring. I haven't gotten this to the table yet because I don't know why.
I really want to play that expansion.
Yeah, me too. I'm really keen on it actually, but it hasn't been played, so that's also one of the reasons why it's fallen down.
We should play this someday.
Yeah, we should play this someday. So
Ding.
I'm gonna do another one here. What I like most about this game is the sort of hand management in terms of gift exchanging. When you sort of, instead of placing a worker, you sort of change a gift in the term where the value of the card has to be higher than the one already in that location. So I think that's I haven't seen that in any other game, that kind of mechanism. So I think that's pretty cool in that sense, and that's why I like it. I know Andreas thinks it's a bit too easy. So
it is.
Yeah. Well, he's much smarter than I am. So
no, but the few times I played it, I sort of like either I've received a lot of points every time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I like the game. It's on my top 100.
Oh, that's good. So that's good.
It's on my top 100 as well, but a bit down. Okay, so my number 24 is a brand new game on the list, and it's a brand new game, not from this year, but from last year. I'm gonna let you guess, guys, because I played this with Mats very recently.
I have no idea.
Oh, Dune Imperium?
Oh yeah, it's Dune Imperium 24. I think also this is the highest place ranked on my list that is a sort of mean game in a sense. There's some mean elements in the game, which I usually don't like in games. But I must say that it works out for me in this one. The main part, of course, that I really like is the whole combination of deck building and asymmetrical powers and worker placement. And this game is really tight. I must say, though, that I like it mostly as a solo game. Like, that's my favorite way to play it. Because when you play solo, you play against two automas. And the way they interact with you and the way they work, even though it's random with a deck or an app, what cards are going to come up and what they're going to do and all that, it feels like playing against real players more than a lot of automas do. I think it's one of the best solo versions I played of a board game. So good. And I really like how it's so tight. You don't have that many workers. You don't have that many resources. Like, every resource feels important, especially at the beginning of the game. And I like that it's like, oh, you need 8 Solari or 8 money in order to sort of recruit your third worker. But that's a project. Like, you got to work towards that to get those. Depending also on which faction you play, some of them have an easier way to get the money. Some have an easier way to get, like, drawing cards or gathering spice, which is also one of the resources. Now, I don't know Dune at all. I am planning to see the new movie once I get the right streaming service for it. I don't remember which one it is these days. There's so many. But I will watch it, and I don't mind. I like space as a theme and the whole setting. It's just that I don't know all these characters, so I guess the game would be, I guess the game is even better for someone that is into the whole IP, and you can have your character and you can recognize they are good at something or they're betraying others or whatever.
I played it once, pretty intrigued by the game. Something that I would have liked, like in hindsight, or like a tip for you all out there who's playing for the first time. Maybe go through some of the cards.
The intrigue cards, action cards,
because I remember it was I played some really, really bad card, like evil card,
on your wife.
Against my wife, and she got pretty upset with me.
Yeah, because you don't. Yeah, exactly. You don't know that those kind of cards are in there. Like if
so
you don't know, yeah.
But this is also
my recommendation.
It's that's actually one of the things in Dune world. No one is nice to anyone in the sort of in the universe. So it actually is fitting into the theme quite well, which is not that what makes it wrong. But I think also you said a very good thing in regards to the conflict of the game, Andreas, when you said it's sort of more like an auction bidding actually for area controls. It's not like it's not a war. If you view it more as an auction, then it can go into any kind of auction bidding game actually, in the same sense, where you're taking a chance on something and someone outbid you or whatever. That happens a lot.
Yeah, it is a positive interaction. It's I don't know, a positive war, but like it's one of those, like you have a conflict and whoever wins the conflict gains something. Nobody loses anything. Well, you lose the troops, but it's not one of those games which all three of us usually don't play, where like, I attack you and I destroy your things. It's not that.
Yeah.
So
it's like a strange auction thing where you can remove other players' bids with random cards.
Exactly.
I wish I knew that before I played.
Yeah, really fun game. Dune Imperium, all brand new on the list.
My number 23 is a brand new game. Oh, it's not a brand new game. It's a very old game, but it's brand new on my list. It's a game that I played a few times this year with my wife, 2 players. It's Le Havre by Uwe Rosenberg from 2008. Yusuf is just shaking his head here.
Yeah, this is on my 321 placement here.
I really, really, really like the 2-player experience in this game. It was a long time ago I played with more players than 2. So when it's your turn, either you take resources from one of the docks in the harbor, or you move your worker and you have a single worker. And then it's very typical Uwe Rosenberg, like you have to feed your workers at the end of the round, etc., etc. But I think it has this nice feeling of building up things. You build things and then you might sell them for money, and then you buy and build new things. And so it's I really, really like this game. I would like to play it on 3 or 4 players as well at some point. I know you can play it on 5, but I don't.
I haven't played it, so are we going to play this game maybe?
I'll stay home that day. But the thing is, though, the reason I really dislike this game, because I played it maybe 10 times and I thought it was fun, and I played with like 3 or 4 or whatever it was back in the days with my old gaming group. Then I played it on 2 with a shared friend between us here, and I got totally destroyed. But then I also realized later on that we played with the wrong rules, because Rado, for some reason, likes it to play with the wrong rules because he thinks it's more fun if you have to pay interest on every loan you take, because then it gets more gamey, says Rado. But that's the wrong rule. So
that is a stupid rule.
Yeah, so it makes it
sorry, Rado.
You can end up in like this ditch of debt where you can't even get out of it, and that was just depressing for me. So that's why I started hating the game. I sold the game the day after I played it with Max. Yeah,
bad experience. I also want to mention before moving on that it has 2 variants of the game. You can play the long game and the short game, and normally I don't like that. But I really found the short game to be appealing as well. It was like we could fit it in just 1 hour or so when the game was set up, which was really, really nice. And the rhythm of the game was a bit different, but was still good. It wasn't like you miss. You sort of. It was a bit like playing Terraforming Mars with Prelude. Not really exactly the same, but you started off with more resources. You didn't have to do the few first rounds of building up things. You're more into it.
I don't think I ever tried that. I only played the long thing.
Yeah. And the long game is very long. It's like 2.5 hours or something. Yeah, so that was my number 23.
Yeah.
Okay. Mats. Well, my 23 is also dropped quite a lot from place number 8 to place 23, which is Maracaibo. And this is also due to the fact that I think this is mainly for me a solo game. I played it on 4 people just a few weeks ago, and it took 5 hours or something, so way too long. Still a great game. That's sort of become a solo game for me, and there's other games competing up there that I think is better in terms of the sort of aspect when you sitting down and playing with others that is taking the space due to this fact, actually. So it's not, Maracaibo is still one of my favorite games. I mean, it's 23, so it's quite good, but it's mainly a solo game for me.
I played it on 4, I think, or 3 at the maximum, and I thought it was too long.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff happening in that game.
I still want to do the solo campaign. I haven't played through all of that.
I do want to try with the new expansion now. You can play cooperative mode as well, which I'm really like.
That sounds fun.
So I think that's maybe should we play that?
Yeah, we should do that on 3. Yeah.
I'll do another one here. That's my 23 Maracaibo.
Okay.
Not one of my favorite games, but like it's I haven't disliked the game the times I played it, but I totally agree that you can spend your time on other games.
All right, my number 23. This is a bit of this is weird because this shouldn't be here. This should have been clumped together with the legacy version of it, which I've done with every other game that has a legacy and a normal. For some weird reason, though, this is how the list turned out. So I guess it's just because I like the game so much. Clank is my number 23, and I had Clank Legacy on the last segment, and I don't know why they are separate. But Clank is an amazing game in itself, and I must say that I sort of think now we only play the legacy like 3-4 times, something like that, and then the whole pandemic hit, and we are gonna have to finish that at some point because it was really fun
at some point. Yeah.
But I mean, normal Clank, basic Clank, well, not basic because I have all like expansions and add-ons and all that. It's a super fun experience as well, and I think that the whole gameplay of Clank in Clank, like, this made it higher than Clank Legacy on my list, just a few spots, but because I think the Clank Legacy, the most fun in that one is the whole legacy aspect. Like, it's a really well-made legacy. But that also takes a little bit, it takes away from the actual Clank playing experience because you spend so much time doing all the legacy things like reading text and putting on stickers and whatnot. So just pure Clank is just, the gameplay can be really quick and easy, and the whole deck building aspect of it, of course. I mean, this is from, actually, I didn't think about that until now, but this is from Direwolf Games, so it's the same publisher as Dune Imperium, and you can see that in the artwork and so on.
I think it's the same designer as well, right?
Yeah, I think so as well, right? Yeah, I don't remember her whatever name right now, but really good one. Okay, this is one I can really recommend to anyone. Like, if you pick up the base game of Clank, you can play that with your family and friends and gamers and everyone. And then if you want to get more involved into it, you can get some of the expansions and all that. Now, there's one thing I haven't played in the normal Clank game, and that's I think it's called Adventure or something like that. I know you played that, Mats. The expansion with the
where you have the asymmetric player powers, and I think it just makes I agree. Bunch Clank is on my space 30 here for all of them.
Yeah,
I think, like you say, it good because I think Clank as a standard game is it's like a 45-minute, 60-minute game, high speed, high fun, if everybody knows the game, and with the asymmetric, so starting powers and starting decks, it just becomes more fun.
I have to play that. I love that in games, so I have to.
So I'll make another note of it.
Oh yeah, we should play that as well, of course. So anyway, Clank, my number 23.
Yeah, like just before moving on here, I think this is where we differ the most, Joseph, in terms of what types of games we like.
Yeah, and we talked about this. You prefer hand management more than
you really like deck building, and I just scrolled down on my list here to try to find it, and Clank is in my top 50, so it's a very good game, and it's my second most favorite deck building game, and none of them are on my top 25.
Wait, what's your favorite deck building game then?
Legendary Encounters.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
an alien deck building game.
No, but we talked about this because we shouldn't get too much into that. But there is a difference between when I say deck building, I oftentimes mean that you build your deck and then you have a hard time managing what card should I play at what time. Clank and some other deck builders like Lost Segments. I talked about Hero Realms. It's those kind of deck builders where the building of the deck is the important part. When it's your turn, you just play your whole hand anyway. There's no hand management really. Yeah. I think that's what you refer to there, right?
Yeah, so I really, really enjoy hand management. Yeah. There will be games with hand management on my list, but not deck building.
On mine too. I mean, it's my favorite mechanism. And oftentimes I clump it together. So I say my favorite mechanism is deck building. What I mean is the combination of deck building and hand management. So.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Anyway, let's go to 22. Andreas, what's your 22?
Yeah, and talking about hand management.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, right. So my number 22 has dropped from place from eighth place.
Okay.
So and I think it's just because I haven't played it, and there are so many good games. But it's Brass Birmingham.
Oh.
By
keep
Martin
dropping
Wallace.
Just keep dropping
Wallace
makes
and
sense.
Gavin Brown and Matt Tolman from 2018. Joseph really dislikes the industry theme. I think I need to play this more, and it might climb back up again. Mats is furious here. I see.
You see the steam coming out of my ears.
Yeah, I see that. I will let Mats talk about why this game is brilliant later on. But it's still.
You're assuming it's on my top list.
I know it's in your top list. I know how much you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brass Birmingham. It's a solid game. It has one of these. When I think about what I like most.
Oh, you're gonna talk about the player order.
I need to say. I need to say what I like most. Yeah, but I need to say it. Like I think it's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like so. In each given round, whoever pays the most coins will go last in the following turn. Yeah. So that means that you can sort of manipulate the turn order in a very elegant way, if I were to say that. And that is I think the best thing about this game is that amazes me every time I play it. And the hand management is rather good, and I'm really bad at managing these cards. I'm like, I don't need Derby right now. I'm gonna throw it away, and then I wish I had it later on. It's like, why did I throw that card away? So yeah.
I think that this is one of the games where you actually don't consider hand management as being an important part of the game, because so much more in, like you say, the auction or the spending money and the building on the map, etc. So yeah,
it's a part of the game, I guess.
Yeah. So
that was my number 22. At least you will hear more about it later. Maybe not today. So Mats, what's your number 22?
My number 22 is Architects of the West Kingdom. No, this is not a game any of you like, but I still, here comes Draco and he's behind. But I think it's a game that I like, and I think it's with the expansion that was added. I think it was early this year when it was delivered, at least, or end of last year.
Have I played this game?
Not with the expansion. Sort of like you add some more elements to it. But I think what I appreciate about this game is the worker placement spots, and that is actually a sort of a worker management. Can you say that? When you're sort of trying to capture other players.
That is fun, though.
Workers.
I haven't played this. I have played Paladins.
We can mess with other people. That's the only thing. I played it once with Mats, and the only thing I did was running around just putting everyone in prison.
That sounds fun, though.
Yeah,
I didn't win.
It is fun, and I think one of the things that made this game actually more fun was playing it as a co-op version when you can play it. So there's this co-op versions now for each of the West Kingdom games in the Tome Saga sort of connecting kit that you buy. So I think it's really fun because it changes into a very different game, and I really like the co-op version actually more than the competitive version. So this is something we probably should play, right?
I think so. Ding ding.
I could imagine trying it as a co-op, though. I could imagine trying that.
Yeah.
I haven't played this. Of course, I will play with you, Mats, at some point if it's in your top 25.
That's my 22, right?
All right.
Yeah.
So 22 was 27 last year, so it climbed a little bit, but I don't know. I haven't played it since last year, but I really want to play this soon again. This is one of the games when I walk by my shelf, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I need to play that soon. And it's Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Well, actually, I want to play the Tainted Grail, the Red Death, or whatever it's called, like the expansions that I haven't touched yet. Tainted Grail is very like heavy story-driven adventure game. This is, for me at least, a solo game. You could play this on 2, I think, without any problem. And I think that would be fun, but it's a long game. It's like 40 hours or whatever for a campaign, so it's not something I would pull out to the gaming group. But yes, really, really good. Well, this is one where the theme and the story and the choose your own adventure parts are the most important part. The mechanical parts are both good and bad. Like, there's a really good piece of card play, hand management again. It has a very unique combat system, actually, where you basically, well, there's 2 different types of combat. So you have combat, like in combat against something, And then you have another deck that is called Diplomacy. So when you you're trying to get into a city or whatever, and the guard at the gate stops you, then you can choose, do you want to attack him? And then you would use your combat deck to fight him. But you can try to persuade him to let you in, and then you use your diplomacy deck and you do a sort of fight, but with the diplomacy cards.
That sounds fun.
It's really cool. They work different ways, but it's like you're basically building up a tableau of cards every combat. So you draw from your combat card hand, and then you build them up, and then you need to link. There's like these little half symbols. So you're trying to link like this symbol, that card links with that symbol, that gets you maybe a damage or whatever. And you can, like, some cards have special effects. Some cards want to be played at the end, but some cards you don't want to play at the end because you might take damage or whatever. It's a really interesting combat system. Now, the mechanically downside to the game, I would say, is that at some points during the campaign and so on, you roll a die to determine outcome of encounters. And that one can be, I don't mind it if it's just a little bit of it, but it can be very, at least in the main campaign. I haven't played the expansion campaigns yet. But at some points it can be very rough on you. You can spend like a lot of time and resources to do something, and then you roll a die and you fail, and you're like, okay, so now I just spent all that for nothing. But then again, it does suit the theme and the atmosphere, I guess, that some things are random. So I wouldn't want to play this game without any randomness. Maybe there's too much though at some points, but yeah, such a solid game, and the components, the miniatures, everything is amazing. It's just so good. So really thematic game. So Tainted Grail, I don't know if it's anything for you guys. I don't know if I should recommend it to you even. I think you would enjoy it if you sat down, like played it on 2 or on solo or so on.
Number 21 has already been mentioned today, so it's the first crossover.
Oh really?
It's Automania.
Oh okay, yeah, that makes sense.
From 2015. Kenneth Mind and Christian Amundsen.
Yeah, the Norwegians, right?
Yeah. So I really like this game. For many reasons. I think it has it is like every action you do is important. You can't really waste any actions. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's not brutal, like you're out of the game, but it feels like every move you make is important, and I tend to like that. I also like that it's colorful. It's a lot of colors, and I can appreciate that with all the other games being so brown.
Yeah, I think the box cover and so on is a bit too colorful though. It looks like a kids game or something. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think the second edition is white. Maybe it's less colorful.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I already talked about. I guess you
really
like the
good
same
game.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, really good game.
That's a good game.
So that was my number 21.
Yep. My number 21 is Seven Wonders Duel. So this is fallen also pretty. It was not so much from last year's. It was only one space, but I mean, I still like it. It's fantastic. I think it's definitely the best 2-player game that I've ever played, and it's going to be hard to beat in that sense. But there's so many other good games here again, where you're playing with other players, with more players, I would say. I'd like that more. So Seven Wonders Duel, the expansion, Pagora, I think it was called, right? It's a perfect, good add-on to that game, just to make sure, or just to give even more depth of the game, which I think is really, really cool.
It's way, you're wrong. Your numbers are wrong, but I agree on your.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe this is the last time I do this then, because I'm having too many wrongs.
Imagine saying 100 games and someone telling you wrong all the time.
Yeah, that should be 67 and not 72.
Seven Wonders Duel, brilliant game. Yeah. I think it's the best two-player game there is. I agree.
Yeah, that we can agree on.
Might show up later.
All right, my 21 is an old classic, and this is as we
Monopoly.
As we mentioned before,
Food Chain Magnate.
Deck building, pure deck building at its purest form, and I don't know if this one was the first one, but Dominion is my number 21. I'm not sure if this was the first one. Do you guys know that? Is there a?
I can't say, but it's probably the most well known.
It's the one where like deck building became huge. At least that's like
super popular.
Yeah,
popularized the genre.
Yeah, so much fun in it. I Dominion. I talked about this before, but it's basically you play your whole hand, right? So the deck building, like how you pick up your cards and how you form your deck, is the important part. And then I really like playing it with you guys and with other people that are really into the game or like know the game well. So it goes very quickly between the rounds. So basically, I do my thing and then it's my turn again. Yeah, it's no downtime, and there's a lot of interesting combos in this. I love how they, with all the expansions and everything, I haven't played all the expansions, but how they combine in different ways. So there's so much variability. And depending on which cards are out there, you look at the stacks of cards on the board and you form your strategy before the game even begins. Because that's when you're like, okay, so if I do that one together with that one, that should be good, because then I can trash cards and I can, whatever I'm trying to do. Really, really fun game, and I'm actually have Dominion and Prosperity. Just sleeved it the other day here, and me and Draco are going to do a stream soon. Yeah, it's really weird actually. Andreas has this one unsleeved, which is
one of the first games I actually bought, like or modern board games I actually bought, and I managed to get like 3 or 4 expansions.
And now it's so worn down that it doesn't matter if you sleeve it now.
Before realizing that something like sleeves even existed. Didn't even know that. I like it as well. It's 78 on my list. Still a good game. What we have done recently, because we have actually played this a bunch of times this year, and I really enjoy it almost every time. It's like we started to make some notes in the rule book on which combination of which kingdom card combination, which is good. It's like the rule book says, like, if you have the base game and Prosperity, then you can use these 5 different decks, or not decks, these mix of kingdom cards. And we have started to add like what we think about them, because not all of them are really, really good. Some of them are, some are really not good. So
you can do this like an online. You can just, there's a website where you can just put in all the expansions you have, and it will randomize sets for you.
And I think that would be really bad.
But you can click like,
I have actually done that. I have done that earlier. Probably one of the games I played the most ever.
Yeah,
I played it so much when I bought it like 7 years ago or something.
Actually, the last time I played, I actually managed to beat your wife at it as well, which is kind of hard.
She's really good at it.
Yeah, really good one. Dominion. It was 24 last year, so it hasn't really moved. So now we go into the top 20. Now we go into the good games, really good games.
So now is where we play.
Yeah, now the good games.
The good games start. Okay.
All right. So ignore everything else, like 21, and they were really bad.
Horrible games.
So my number 20, was it 20?
Yeah.
Was number 12 last year. It's one of my favorite racing games. What can it be?
Does it have bicycles in it?
No, it has gems. It's Istanbul.
Oh, okay, yeah.
From 2014 by Rudiger Dorn. So
wait, really so is this higher up than Flamme Rouge then?
Yes, Flamme Rouge is nowhere near top 25. I mean, Flamme Rouge is an excellent game, but it's not top 25 quality. Okay. It can't be. But Istanbul sure is. I really like Istanbul, the base game. It's super solid. It's a 4x4 grid where the different town tiles or something, and you start at the fountain, and then you use your merchant and his assistants to move 1 or 2 spaces, and where you land, you perform the action. And if there are other merchants, that you have to pay them some kind of entry fee. Not really sure how that works. It's like someone guarding the door or something. But then it's like first to get 5 rubies or 6 rubies if you play with any of the expansions. But just the base game alone is good. But if you happen to stumble over the expansions or buy if you were to buy this now, I think you can find a big pack or whatever with the 2 expansions for a really good price, because I'm not sure if it won Spieles Jahres or something, but it's super common at least.
Yeah,
it's like it has been printed so many times. So it's two expansions, both are really good. And if you have a lot of time, you can also play the Grand Bazaar if you combine everything and you have this huge board 5x5. Istanbul. I really like that game. It has been it's been top 20 ever since I started making top lists. So it's been top 20 5 years in a row.
That's a solid grade on a game if it's been in top 20 for 7 years, 6 years, 7 years, something.
6 years. 6 years now. Yeah, 6 years actually.
That's pretty good.
So that was my number 20, Istanbul.
Yeah. My number 20 is Everdell. But I'm including also expansions in this, but not the. I know you're shaking your head, Andreas, because you haven't really understood.
I have to scroll very down, very far down on my list here to find it.
Please do, and you can go and do this.
It's my number. It's my number 40, so I'm all aboard it. Yeah.
Did I even say what number it is on my list?
No, please don't.
No, I'm not going to do that. It's very far down.
Don't bash Mats now.
3 digits. Yeah. Sorry, Mats. I'm going to let you talk.
And he mutes himself. That's good. I like that. So, anyway,
so otherwise he can't resist.
You probably talked about this already, Josef, on your previous episode of this, so I won't say too much. But what I do like about it, I think it's just sort of the combo wombo game, trying to find the synergies and also trying to optimize. I mean, it's a lot of chance depending on what cards you're drawing, right? So it's not a strategic game, but it's a tactical game in that sense where you
which is really fun.
Find the synergies in all kind of aspects to make a good game. So
I think it's weird that Andreas doesn't like this one because he should. You should. This is like hand management and this worker.
I do not dislike it. I just prefer.
You're sitting there like this now, so
yeah, because it's like it's 3 digits for me. That is far from my top 20.
Yeah. I want to play Everdell more. We should really do that, man.
You should do that.
I'm gonna write it down.
Both of you. Yeah. No, it has to be a 3-way crossover.
Okay, so I'll scratch it again then.
Yeah, scratch it.
Yeah. Mats and I can play games without you, Andreas.
Yeah, but you can.
Can you imagine what a good time we would have?
But you can make notes on some other piece of paper. Okay.
My
number 20 anyway.
Yeah, my number 20. I do want to play with you guys sometime soon, and I said this last year as well, and we still haven't played it together, but we should at some point. This was number 18 last year, so it hasn't really moved. It's Anachrony. Anachrony is a big game. I played it with Andreas, but that was when it came out years ago.
That was a really long time ago. I think I only played it once or twice.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a really fun game, and it's like worker placement and you're time traveling, which is a really interesting combination. So you can basically borrow resources from yourself in the future, which is just such a cool concept.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
And then you have to pay them back, otherwise there's like anomalies in time. Time continuum, space-time continuum.
I just remember it being super heavy.
It's heavy. It's one of the heaviest games that I like. Yeah. There's a lot going on. This is, of course, like now I have the big box and all the expansions, which is a huge...
With miniatures and everything?
Oh, yeah, the miniatures I did have back when we played as well, though. I should paint those, actually. I started painting them, but I never finished it. But they're really cool miniatures, and you have like basically little cardboard workers that you put into the miniature. So it's like a suit for the worker. Because when you go out...
Totally pointless, but looks awesome.
Yeah, you don't need it to play the game. Like it's a separate expansion to buy the minis.
Expansion?
Oh, it actually, because it also adds some modules. So
okay.
If you pick that up, you get some modules as well. But now I have the big box, which is bigger than, it's Gloomhaven size, basically. It's bigger than Terraforming Mars big box, whatever. It's a huge box. And it has a really good organization with everything like in layers. And like, so amazing big box. Now, it's a very good solo, but I haven't played the new solo mode that came with the big box. There's a new like solo board and everything. It has an interesting solo system where most of solo gamings are automas with decks that you draw cards. That's like standard by now. This one instead has like a special board, like a big cardboard piece. This takes up the whole table, by the way. And then you have different actions on this board, and you roll a die, and the die determines how many steps the little pawn moves, and then where the pawn lands, that's what the automa will be doing. And it has like a circular thing, so you can sort of predict what it's going to do. And the system is so good. It works really, really good how that system works. It's in some ways better than a deck of cards.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's really unique.
Make some notes.
I'm already
Mats is the solo game maker.
I really think Mats, you should try the solo as well. You should borrow my big box.
I think you would like it, Mats. From what I remember, it was a solo game, super long or super complex. But maybe it's not that complex any longer because we've played so many games since then.
It is, and it's not that complex, I would say, but it is long. Like what you're doing takes time.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a few concepts that I will mention that I really love in this game. One of them is the whole thing with, so you have workers on your board, like at your place, but if you want to go to the city or out to the waste because there's been a nuclear war and everything, then you need to be in the suit to survive. And so you need to power up the suit every round so that you can send the workers out. That's
cool.
Then when the or you can send your workers on your city, on your board to do actions once you build buildings there. And then the thing is, then they don't need a suit. But regardless where you send them, they might be exhausted after they come home. And then they go to the sort of
the shower.
Yeah, then you need to spend water to give them a shower to get them fresh again, so that they can work again. That concept is so cool. It's like a very interesting worker placement twist. In the expansion as well, which I haven't played yet, then of course, but I really like the idea of that. That's why I backed it on Kickstarter. Then you also have blinking, which is like basically you send out a worker, and then that worker can move on the board and do another action in the same round, which is also a really cool concept. It exists in some other games as well, but it's fairly rare in worker placement games. Most of the time you just place a worker and then that's it. Here you can actually, the worker can do more than one action. But also if you do that, that's going to create more of these anomalies and whatever, because you're moving in time. There's so many cool concepts in this game, and I love the theme and I love the production. So yeah, Anachrony, really cool. So that's my number 20. So now we go to 19.
All right, so my number 19 has been mentioned already today. It has been on. It has been number 19 3 years in a row now, which is really funny. It's Seven Wonders Duel. So I played it a bunch of times this year with my wife.
You got the numbers wrong again.
Should be 91 or?
Should be 91. Not really sure what you're implying here. Really good, and I think the latest expansion, Agora, makes the game sort of perfect. I like that expansion more than I like the Pantheon, which I know that Joseph doesn't agree with me. Maybe you have come around on it.
I like both together.
Yeah, but together it's great, but you can also cut down on the time. Just ignoring one of the expansions, because adding both will take more time. It really does.
It's still not a long game though.
Sometimes you're short on time. It's like, all right, we have time for a game.
I play the base game on my phone, just like because that's the only thing I have on my phone, like the app. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I didn't even know it had an app, but
I'm doing really bad though in the basement.
Yeah. So what I like, the Seven Wonders Duel. Like every time someone takes a card, it's tension. I really like that. It's like it's not heads down. It's heads up. Really mapping out what to do. No. Can I risk this? Can I take that? Can I build this card? I will be low on resource, and I can't take that. What should I do? Should I throw this card away, or should I use it as a foundation for the pyramids or whatever? It's like all the time. It's interesting decisions, and I think it's very well balanced. I really think that Agora makes it even more balanced when you have a fourth victory condition with the parliament or whatever, diplomatic, not really Senate. Yeah, I can probably go on and on about this game for a long time, but I really like Seven Wonders Duel, and it's been number 19 3 years in a row now. We'll see if it moves up or down till next year.
Seems to be nailing that spot there.
Yeah.
My number 19 is the new game, first new game on my list, and this is a game that is super brown, but when you finish it, it's full of color.
I know what it is.
Yeah, it's Citrus.
Good choice.
I really love this game. I think it's sort of
this is an old game as well.
Yeah, this is an old game. So I don't know when it was released, but we played it 4 times this year or something, 3-4 times. And every play has been super tension in terms of how you score those. I always forget the
fincas.
The fincas, when you score this, and how you build your sort of fields of different citrus fruits in different colors, and you place then your sort of workers onto the fields to score area control around the fincas, or you take them home to do a harvest and get some money. So I think it's a really fun way and to sort of the resource management in that sense, where you sort of, do I want to keep here to score the points, or can I do one more round without picking it home? Hopefully the finca scored. It's a good tension in that game, and I think we can play it really fast, under 45 minutes, 60 minutes. I think that's perfect length for this kind of game. So Citrus, totally. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that
weird
game.
Because this has been on my top 100 years ago, and then it dropped off. But I remember it. I haven't played it in a lot of time, I don't know. But I remember it being way longer. I think I played it with you, Andreas, and Emily, and I think it took like a whole evening.
Probably did. Maybe the first time we played it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Maybe that was the first time.
Maybe we are faster now. Not really sure what's happened. But
and when we played it last time, I think we even introduced. We were 5 playing it, and we had 2 new people on the game, and it still was like maybe an hour, 15 minutes, hour 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, when we played like 4, we were sort of just on the hour. So I think it's a great game. I think it's.
But the timer in that game is the number of tiles, and the number of tiles is constant, no matter how many players there are. So it sort of takes roughly the same time. I really like when games scale like that. It's just outside my top 25. It's number 30. It's been climbing super much because we have played it, and I enjoyed every game of it.
Yeah, same for me. So so that's Citrus, my number 19.
Okay. My number 19 is something I think you should play, Mats. I don't think you have yet. It's called Aeon's End. This is it's a deck builder again, but it's a special kind of deck building. I talked about this before, but I think you would enjoy it. It's basically when you discard cards, you discard them to your discard pile, but you don't shuffle your discard pile when you're out of cards. Instead, you flip it over.
Okay.
And that becomes your new draw deck. So the way the order you discard cards are important, because you can sort of set your deck up. So it's not just you build your deck by buying new cards. And when you buy new cards, it's sort of the same thing as Dominion, where you have a market. So every time you play, you have different cards in that market, which will affect how you build your deck. But then you also need to combo, so you get the cards in the right order. I think that's really cool. I know, Andreas, you tried this with me. I don't remember.
I played it. Yeah. I both love and hate that aspect of the discard pile, because you're like trying to be super clever while
there's a lot of min-maxing in this game.
Yeah, arranging the cards in some order, and then for some reason you are counting, you count wrong at some point, and then you're not getting the combo cards.
Exactly,
so
because
the combos are in 2 separate hands every time. You're like, all right. Apparently I wasn't that smart, and then you're like, and then you die to the boss or whatever.
But you only played it once, right?
Yeah, I think we played it twice.
Twice for me. It's a really hard. Again, the cooperative game should be hard. This is really hard. Sometimes you just it has a lot of similarities. You play against a boss basically. I also play the Legacy game, which it's like a campaign. But yeah, it's such a good game. It also has some interesting, cool things with. I don't know any other game that has this. Like most games you have like, I play this spell or this attack, and you will do some damage to the boss. That's like in a lot of games. In this one, you have to prepare the spell first. So you sort of put it out, and then at the start of your next turn, it will activate. But depending on how many spells you have prepared, different effects might happen before that. So it's and it also has another cool thing, but I don't think you like this part, Andreas, but when it's not set. So if we 3 are playing, it's not like me and then Andreas and then Mats all over. It has a deck of cards with our symbols in them. So it's random. So it could be me back to back, or it could be Mats and then the boss and then me and then the boss again and then Andreas. So you don't know which is really cool. I like it because it adds so much. It adds randomness, but it also makes.
I think it's fine.
You can't predict it. You can't be like, we know Mats is going to do this on his turn, so that will trigger what I will do on my turn, and we can combo. Because we don't know. We don't know if Mats is going to go.
It just influences the type of decision that you can take or willing to take. Like you can't really plan your actions on the play order.
And that's how you scale the difficulty level as well. So depending on how many boss cards you put in, the boss will act different amounts of times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smart system. Yeah.
Yeah, you should really try this out, Mats. I think you would enjoy it. We should play it together. We like these kind of co-op games where we...
I just don't like the theme, really. Otherwise...
The theme is not really that strong, to be honest. It's like, oh, this magician that has a spell. Like, it's very generic.
And super strange monsters.
Yeah. I'll write it on our list then.
Oh, yeah, this should be on our list. Absolutely.
On your list. Okay, keep it on your list.
And this was number 15 last year for me, so it hasn't really moved.
I have to try it at least. That's
you should try it.
So my number 18 has been number 5 and number 4, but now it's number 18. So
is it Terraforming Mars?
It's not Terraforming Mars. It's a game about birds. It's Wingspan.
Oh wow,
that's
a way better spot for Wingspan than.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's very, very, very good still.
Yeah.
But I think that me and my wife, we played it so much, so we sort of almost grew a little bit tired of it. So we play this almost purely as a 2-player game.
You have both expansions, right?
Yeah, we have everything.
I still haven't played the expansions. None of them. I have to.
Okay, yeah. The game is. I think the game is
definitely, especially the latest one. I think it's Oceana. It's definitely the one you need.
Yeah, the European expansion, the first expansion with European birds, it's like just more content. It's like even more birds, and you have like 1 or 2 new things, mechanics, but that doesn't really matter. But the Oceana expansion adds revised player boards, which is super good. And we have bought these neoprene mats, everything. So whenever we play, it's a really good 2-player game for us. Very different from when we're playing Seven Wonders Duel, where it's tension. Seven Wonders Duel and Wingspan
is more relaxing, right?
Super relaxing. Yeah. And I can't wait to play this with my kids. So my oldest one is soon 7. I think she will be able to start to play this. She just started to read.
You can even get the Swedish.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the games I actually plan maybe on switching out the English version to a Swedish version due to the bird names and everything. Yeah, so I still love this game. Wingspan, released 2019 and produced designers Elizabeth Hargrave. Great game.
Okay, before we move on, I'm just going to do a little. Can you see that? I think you can.
Oh,
there it is. Breaking news. It's on Android and iOS, and I have it on my phone. So I'm going to do a playthrough coming very soon.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So I
did a video
got it
on your channel, Yusuf.
Oh, you did it for Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
That was probably one really unintentional sort of segue into my number
nice.
18. Speaking of apps, but the game I'm maybe not in the version I'm gonna say here, but the game is, I think it was released a few months ago as an app as well, which is Concordia, but I'm adding the Venus part to it. So this is dropping from my number 9 to 18. But this, I think, game-wise, I haven't played Concordia enough to say how good the game is, but in terms of player experience when playing the Concordia Venus, I have such a good time in that.
But that's playing in teams, right?
Team version.
Have you played the just like the on your own?
I played the normal one as well, and I think that's a good game too. But I think with the Venus, it really kicks in, and as you try to, without communicating with your partner at the table, you try to sort of optimize both players' move and try to read and see how are they building up for their coming moves, and how can I help, and how can I make sure that my partner understands what I need.
That is how you're supposed to play it, and then you can ask
it's like Yusuf does. That's also an option.
Don't go there.
Okay, we won't go there.
Team play last time.
Oh yeah. You had like 250.
I had like the highest score.
You had 250 points, and Emily had like 60. No, just say, but
that's her fault. She didn't do her part of the job. We would have won if she had, stepped up.
Did you hear the team talk there? It's her fault. I did what I could.
You should hear the other side of this conversation. I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it too.
Okay, so what are we on? 18, right?
Yes, sir.
And speaking of good games that have dropped a little bit, this was my number 10 last year. And before that, it was my number, I don't know, was it my number 1? I think it was my number 1 at some point.
Is it Imperial Assault?
I don't remember if it was my number 1 2 years ago. It's Keyforge. And
A Keyforge. Oh,
I think
I think it was number 1.
It was number one.
Like
that is not a board game, is it?
There's no board games here. There's only card games left on my list. So, Keyforge is amazing. I mean, if you just talk about Keyforge as a pure game, just like the game itself, it's amazing. It should be in my top 10. But then my excitement to play the game has gone down. After playing, I would say I played probably around, I don't know, like 300 to 500 games of it in person. And then I played like maybe 2,500 games online of it. So it's not like I haven't been through this game. Sort of every year they release a new set, like the classic Fantasy Flight games, where they like, it's not an LCG in that sense, but it's like they release new sets. And the latest one added some elements with the tides and everything like that, if you're familiar with the game, that I just find so weird. And for me, it didn't break the game, but it didn't feel like it's like a new element that only goes for that set. So and I like that you can play sets against each other, and if you play against another set, all of a sudden the other set doesn't care about tides. I don't know. I don't like how the development of Keyforge has been. The first set and the second and the third, I think, are amazing. It's so much fun. That's how I like to play the game. Then they added the last 3 sets. I feel like they have gone off the edge of like complexity. Like they even have a card in the latest set where like you can use its effect when it's in your discard pile. Like that's so stupid. Like, okay, so all of this, I mean, this is a game that takes up a lot of focus and everything. It's like 2-player game, card game back and forth against each other, and then I'm supposed to remember what I have in my discard pile. Like, I don't go there. I don't like that design. And I would say also that for some reason they didn't choose to go the path which I would have loved to see, where making an official digital game more like Hearthstone. And they could have released decks that you would have to buy physically and then use the codes on the deck to play on the digital plays. That way they would have kept selling decks. I don't understand why they haven't done that. They would have made a lot of money on that. But the gameplay is amazingly fun. And I really recommend people to just pick up a few decks and just play at home, just for fun. Also, I have played it this year, actually, because they released 2 print-and-play solo/co-op modes. And those are really fun when you play against like a boss, similar to Aeon's End again. You're trying to beat this boss, and then So and then you get to pull out all your old decks. I still have like 150 decks or something in my wardrobe, and it's really fun to pull them out and just try them out against the boss. So I had a good time with that this year. So yeah, Keyforge is still my number 18. Amazing game.
Oh, yeah, it's a good game, but it's like I think it lost its sort of what's good about it. It got lost somewhere along the way, I think.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. All right.
I played it once. I don't think I will play it again.
You should play the co-op, Andreas. That's.
Write it down for you too, then.
Nope.
Nope.
Let's move on. Number 17.
So my number 17 was number 21 last year. So it's climbing a little bit. It's from 2007. Designer Thomas Lehmann. It's Race for the Galaxy. Super interesting tableau builder where you have like all the cards. The cards are multi-purpose. It's a one large deck, and you're trying to build the biggest, greatest space empire, sort of. It has this super interesting phase where all players simultaneously choose which phase they want to activate for every round, and everyone participates in every phase that was chosen. But if I have chosen like development, I will have a benefit in development, and if me and Joseph both selected development, we will both have a benefit. It also means that not all of the phases will be activated in each round, and that is where the interesting part of this game origins from. So it's like you can like scout for new cards, and you can build developments or conquer or settle planets, and then you can trade for money or points, and then you can produce. And always this tension, and like, I really need to produce, because if I don't produce, I will never be able to trade. But I think that Joseph also wants to produce.
Yeah.
So maybe I can do something else, and then we both think that, and no one produces, and then Mats wins. It's brilliant.
You know, another game that has a good game that has that same mechanic in it. I think it's your number 151 or something. You said, or 191.
Which one is that?
Rising Sun has the same mechanic.
Yeah, Rising Sun is far down on my list.
Yeah, and also Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition try to do the same thing.
Yeah,
I know none of us are really fans of that game, but
Race for the Galaxy, I really like it. I used to like Roll for the Galaxy, like
I remember
super
that.
much, but then Race for the Galaxy sort of does the same thing, not exactly true, but sort of the same thing.
What do you think about the board game then, New Frontiers, which is on my top 100?
It's okay.
I think the Race for Galaxy has that, a game can take 20-30 minutes basically to play.
They're in different categories, really.
Yeah, yep. And so I think it's in that sense it's a good filler game because it's a bit thinky, and I like also how your hand management there in terms of, do I want to play this card enough to waste my other cards that I also want to play, or that's a good balance in that. For that game.
I just want to mention, I'm not sure which expansion it is, but the last time I played it, I played with one expansion that changed the exploration rule, which meant that normally when you explore new cards, you're like given 3 cards and you have to pick 2 of them. Now you draw 3 cards, add them to your hand, and then you discard it from your hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's different.
And you might think that, that's very good. And that might be good for certain type of players, but it took way much longer because people always
more AP.
Yeah, so don't play with that. Play the base game.
Yeah, some games are supposed to be quick.
Yeah.
So that was number 17, Race for the Galaxy.
So my number 17 is a new game on my list here. It's a co-op game that we have played together on this channel when we got stuck on an island. Robinson Crusoe. That was new.
Very far down.
It was a new play. Yeah, far down. It came from nothing up to place 17. I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Well, we'll give him some time, Andreas. He'll catch up to us.
Yeah.
So, but I think we played it I've only played it 2 times.
Yeah.
But
one of the times were by camera, right? Or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So we haven't even played it. We played it physically once, you and me, Andreas. Yeah. That's actually true. And then we played it online 2 times.
Yeah.
But once again, it's maybe not so much for how, yes, there's some good mechanisms in the game, but it's mainly the experience and the challenge of trying to solve that puzzle. That is just nice, and working together, even with you guys, is still pretty funny. So I really, it's come from nowhere into my top 20, which I think is pretty cool in that sense. Because it was a game that I wasn't even on my radar until you started talking about it on your top 20, top 10 lists. And then I was like, okay, we have to try it. And then we tried it, and it was great. So I really like it.
I remember me and Andreas pushing you, Mats, to eat some berries, and then you should never have done that.
No, so I'm never listening to you again. We need to play this again soon, though.
Yeah, this one we absolutely have to play soon. This is but we joke about it, but this is one I actually want to play with you guys very soon.
Yeah, me too.
There is some cool fancy Ultimate Deluxe Edition.
It was on GameFound recently.
Yeah, something.
I wanted to back it, but I didn't. But
it was too expensive. I can't pay that much money for a single game.
No, but it's amazing.
I could, but I won't.
No, I was really close to clicking it, but then I figured, well, you both have it, so I think you have it too, Joseph. So
I have it.
Having 3 games between us
Joseph
doesn't seem like...
always makes fun of my copy because I have little cubes.
You have like yellow cubes. I have bananas. I have banana meatballs. It's way cooler.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen a square-shaped banana?
No, exactly.
I have a ton of them.
Okay, my number 17, and this was 46 last year, so this has risen a lot on the list. And this is again a bit cheating because this is not one game. This is 3 games combined, because this makes sense to combine. So the first one is called Season 1, the second one is called Season 2, and the third one is called Season 0. Do you know what it is?
You combine them.
Yeah, I combined Pandemic Legacy is the game series, and I combined them because it just feels weird to split them up. I haven't finished 0 though. Draco is yelling at me every day.
Really should.
He wants us to complete it. Yeah, I know, Draco. I know.
You really should.
Calm down. It's soon Christmas. Yeah, we really should. We done like halfway, and Draco got his fake identity. I don't want to spoil too much, but he got his fake identity. So I actually took a picture of Draco where he has like a little mustache and stuff, so he can hide. We really need to finish that one. It's sad though because I can't do that on camera, obviously, because it's spoilerish the whole thing. But we had a good time so far. We played it this year, and that's why this has like the whole series, these three together. Season 0 really made it way more interesting for me. I talked about this before, that I mean the whole pandemic and everything, I'm not that excited about sitting around playing a pandemic, but but in the Season 0 you're not in a pandemic, you're in like the 70s, and it's like
the Cold
War. Yeah, it's so cool. And also this is separate for me from pandemic. I talked about pandemic Fall of Rome previously on my list, and I really like that one, but the legacy aspect is what raises this up so high for me.
I really think that we need to talk about the rules of this of the list, because I did not split it.
So you have 3 entries in the top 10.
I will not disclose any information at this point in time.
I think it's already disclosed. So,
but made sense to do the grouping like that.
I think it does make sense, and I also would have done it for like Clank and Clank Legacy. But I don't know.
Pandemic, like I played the whole Season 0 this year with my wife. This is the best gaming experience I ever had, probably. But since it's a legacy game, it's hard. It's really hard to even put it on a list.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It depends on how you look at the list. Like if you. Yeah, but again, like I put games in 3 different categories: games I have had good experience with, games I look forward to playing more and have good experience with, and games I am previously like right now having a good experience with. I mean, this is definitely not something you can replay. Well, I guess you could in like 10 years' time. You could replay the whole series, I guess, when you forgot about the stuff. But it's like watching a good TV show, right? Well, there's a lot of twists and turns, and you get the surprise, but then you don't want to rewatch it.
All the games are good in that series.
Yeah.
But the number 0 is the best.
I agree so far as well. I haven't finished it even.
It's even better later on.
It's going to get even better. All right. And it's also going to be fun because when we finish it, then we can talk to you about it.
Yeah.
I'll send Draco over to your house and you can have long discussions about it.
Yeah, but I heard that Draco is sort of the alpha gamer in that.
He's a bit alpha gaming. Yeah. I have to, but with the fire breathing and everything, he's just running the show. I'm just tagging along. So.
Yeah.
So that's 17 Pandemic Legacy. Now we get into the really good stuff with number 16, Andreas. What is it?
So the really good games start with number 16. Okay. Just so I understand how your mind works. Yeah. Okay. So my number 16 is a game that I forgot to rank last year, but it was number 18 the year before. So that caught me by surprise when I was like, what was this last year? It wasn't even on I forgot it or something.
Okay.
I have no idea what happened. So the game I'm referring to is Hansa Teutonica, released in 2009, Andreas setting. I recently had a super good experience with this. I played it with 5 players at a convention. It amazes me every time I play it. It's this thug of war thing on the map, but it's sort of you really want someone to mess with you, because when someone messes with you, your presence on the map will multiply. So you're in the game, you're trying to connect routes between different cities. And for instance, if there are 3 posts or 3 steps between 2 cities, if Joseph has placed on 2 of them, I can place on the 3rd one. I can, even though maybe I don't want to have the connection at all, I can just sit there and wait for Joseph to pull the trigger and move me, and then he has to spend an additional resource, but I get a few more, and that is really satisfying. So you're trying to this.
You can mess with people.
Yeah, it's like an area control thingy going on, and then it's also good that it is. I really like the board that you have. Like it is like Terra Mystica and Gaia Project and other games like that. Is what you see is what you have, and then you start removing things from your playboard, and you get more things. And in order to do that, so like maybe you have to invest in a route between these 2 cities to open up more actions. Or you can, instead of going for more actions, you can be better at having more big guys the round fat guys, which are much better at bumping etc. It's really good.
I still haven't played this one.
Yeah, and you
I
always
put
say
it
that
down
you
as a
don't.
need to play.
And you, for some reason, you tend to say that you don't. I think that you would really enjoy this.
Would.
Yeah. So I have the big box with all the like crazy maps as well, but I think the base game is really good.
Yeah, I want to try it at least.
And it scales very well as well. It's a solid game, Asa Teutonica. Can recommend it for everyone. That was my number 16.
I agree that it's a really good game. My number 16 is Barrage, or Barrage. I don't know what it's called. It was number 12 last year, so it's falling down due to lack of play, I would say. I think this is one of the games that, well, maybe one of the heavier games on my list.
Super complex.
But I always enjoy the frustration of this game, because you build something and then someone ruins it for you. But it's like, okay, I have to find another way to go to get my water flowing in.
This is not a game for you, Joseph.
No. But I mean, it's so satisfying when you find those routes, or if someone messes with you, you mess with them back, because you have to sort of divert it. The game is you're trying to lead water falling from top to bottom, actually, and try to use or capture the power or the energy that's in that water, and sort of building in 3 different levels where you sort of can build. If I build something on level 2, someone can build on level 3, and then they will take the water from my dam and it will lead them the other way. So you have to sort of adopt really much into how you're planning and how you're playing. So you need to be both tactical and strategic in that sense, which I think I like about this game. And the worker placement, super tight, super placement areas.
You know what would happen if we played this. If we 3 sat down and played this, Mats, you know what would happen.
Yeah.
I would
flip.
I would destroy your plans and be annoying and be in your way, and Andreas would just sit around and laugh and laugh and laugh and never end
and win
laughing. So it wouldn't be a good fit for us at all.
No, this is, I mean, you say this a lot, that it's not a game that we should play. I'm not allowed to play social deduction with you. I would not play this game with you either.
I would just mess with you the whole time. Mats.
I like that. Hold your ground here, Mats. I have played this once, and it was a really intriguing experience. I really like the worker placement. I really like when you try to score contracts. I really like trying to achieve the round goals and everything. It made sense, but the thing on the map, that was really frustrating. Super frustrating that someone just built something stupid, and what I've done is like, this doesn't work any longer.
No, it's like a draft, right? When your water runs dry, but I mean this is where my brain connects better than if it's like 3 different, like in other games we have these tracks to walk on. My brain connects better with this one than with the tracks. So it's you're probably wired a bit different, you and me.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not surprised about that, but anyway,
it's nowhere near top 25 here. That's for sure. I might play it again. I think that
you should. I think you could be really good at this if you play it.
A friend of ours, Eric, he would probably force me to play it once or twice.
I'll convince him to nag on you about that. So
yeah.
Anyways, that's my number 16.
Okay, so my number 16 is a super heavy, complex game, and it's a real board game, so no complaints there from you guys. And it has hand management. It is Spirit Island. It's my number 16.
Oh yeah.
And this is a
really
game.
Good pick.
It's a good pick. And this has dropped down. This has been in my top 10 for a long time. This was number 11 last year, but it's been in my top 10 a long time. Now I haven't played it in a while, and I used to play this. I mean, we talk about complexity in games or heavy games. I used to play this solo with 2 characters. I mean, that's one of the heaviest experiences I experienced in board gaming, where I'm trying to set up 2 different decks at the same time to combo with each other. And I'm playing it with Draco. I mean, Draco is good at games, as you all know, but it's very hard for his little dragon pawns to handle cards, so I have to handle everything myself, which ends up in total brain burn for me, trying to play this solo that way. I played it solo using 1 spirit, but I don't think that's as good. It's another type of challenge, because if you're playing like the ocean spirit, you can only interact with the shores, and you're solo, so nobody can help you. So it's very hard. You need to like build your deck in a way then so that you can reach into the land, or the other way around. So it's another type of brain challenge to play solo with just one spirit. I really like it. I like it on multiplayer as well. I played this most recently, I think, was with Keith, and we went up against the Swedes, and I think we won, but it was very close. And I really like that what you said earlier here, Andreas, about how the structure of the game that works with my brain, like it's so organized. Like we do this, and then this happens, and this happens, and then the hard part is how to prepare for that. So yeah, Spirit Island is an amazing game. I still haven't played the Branch and Claw expansion. I should do that at some point. Yeah,
I played it once with you, Andreas, but I like it, but it's not enough to put it on my top 30 list.
Maybe we should play it.
Yeah, we should play it all three.
I'll write it down.
You just lured me into that. To play this on 3. I just said that it's perfect on 2. All right, so my number 15. 15 has been on the list ever since I first played it back in 2018. It's a game from 2014, which is called Nations, the Dice Game by Rustan Håkansson.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing game. The best dice game I know, I think. I'm looking at the list here. Yes, it is definitely the best. I had to make sure I wasn't lying. I think it's 1 hour perfect spent rolling dice, having fun, and making tough decisions each time. Like, should I buy these green dice that might make the people revolt? No, I'm not really sure.
What's it called?
Through uprising or something.
Uprising, yeah.
And then if you roll a fist, then you have to spend the whole next turn of re-rolling, and you don't want that because you lose tempo and picking the tiles.
And this is with the Unrest expansion, we should say.
This is one of the games that you need to have the expansion.
I agree.
With the expansion, it's like whoever passes first, or the everyone except the last passes will get a benefit, but the first player who passes will get to choose which benefit, and that might influence. It also adds a good variance to the end of round scores, maybe. What's this like? How much food you need for the famine, or how much strength do you need to conquer the war or win the war, or whatever. It's great. I really, really like this game.
This was my number 30. So does that mean that you like it twice as much as I do?
It does, but you really need expansion. Period.
Yeah, I agree.
My number 15, Nations, a dice game.
Yeah, this is just outside my top 30. It's been on my top 20 list for a long time, but lack of plays recently, I still think it's a good game. So it's a good pick, Andreas. Okay, my number 15. So the first really good game then, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Is Endeavor.
I promised Joseph to make some funny faces here.
If you've been watching this list over the years, you know that every time Mats says Endeavor, there you go.
Andreas get the itch, sort of. So
I think when this game when I did this ranking and the game appeared, I was like, delete this game. No, I didn't. It's not that bad. It's not very good. Sorry, Mats. Explain to the viewers how good it is.
Poor Mats. It's just getting bashed every
It's just bad game, so don't play it.
Okay, I love this game as well. So
no, but I mean, I think.
Sorry.
The aspect I like about this game, to be honest, is the map play, where you sort of go in the area control aspect of things. First, you need to go to a region to do some shipping actions and to be able to have presence, and then you can sort of develop that by taking cards, making your action stronger. The whole thing is sort of like a really nice.
It's very
engine
thematic
building
as well. Like it makes sense what you're doing. You're like exploring, and then you can start building cities and whatnot.
Exactly. And I think also with the expansion that we sort of played a couple of times. I haven't played it. I think I haven't played it actually since I got the game version. I haven't played it. We only played
the prototype.
But that, I think that added just more fun to the game in that expansion. So it's not needed, but it's a really nice add-on to have that expansion, because the game becomes also a bit more thematic in the different areas.
Yeah.
I really want to develop a solo version for this one, but it's super hard due to the area control aspect of it. It's always hard, but I have some ideas, so it might come down. So Endeavor is my number 15.
It's really good with I really like the exploits in it. Like it's like modules, so you can vary. You can play without them if it's the first time you're playing. You can get into the system, but once you play it a few times, you should really start adding these exploits, as they're called. It's like 3 different sort of rule changing or like new places you can interact with. That is
When me and Andreas, we were at the convention a few weekends ago, they were playing this on the table. I was like, oh. But I was busy.
Didn't he allow you to go play?
No, he didn't. He was like, no, you go here.
He can do whatever he wants to. He's a pro man. But no, I don't despise Endeavor. I played a few times, 3 times, I think.
Would you play it again if me and Mats wanted to?
Yeah, I would play it again.
There you go.
But I would never I would never ever suggest it. And don't you dare write it down on that list.
I'll bring it next time.
That is not for that type of I mean, I don't like the random combat thing that can happen. It has ruined the game for me and some other around the table.
But if you play it with me and Mats, you know that I'm gonna go after Mats. So you're
fine. Mats will go after me.
There's no randomness in
but you won't get 2 versus 1 at least.
Yeah.
All right, my number 15 is something that both of you do like. It's Suburbia, and this was my number 8 last year, so this has dropped out of the top 10. But it doesn't mean that I don't like the game as much. It's just that there's new games and all that. So Suburbia is a really good city building game. This is the one city building game in my book, where you're basically SimCity style. You're building up your city, and you're getting different combos from different buildings, and you can even combo with the other players. You know, if Andreas has a restaurant, then it's good if I get some farms that create meat. So then that will benefit. And there's a lot of interactions, and it's really cool. I just sold my big box basically because I needed the money, which was a bit sad. But I really enjoyed that one with the deluxe edition. It was very well made, and it added like new expansion, the nightlife. One thing we always come back to when we talk about this game, though, is that you can't mix and match all the expansions, because that's not going to work, because you need synergies between the tiles, and if you mix and match everything, then you end up not getting the combos. So, but it's so good. You can play with like 1 or 2 expansions at a time. I think Andreas, I think it's it had moved off your list. Did you say?
Just outside top 25. I think it's still an amazing game. When you talk about it, I don't understand why it's not on my top 25. It's like it feels wrong now when you say it like that. I enjoy this so much. It has a few good expansions. I find it hilarious when you use the border module of one of the expansions.
I like building in weird ways. So it's like a border hanging out from the edge.
Yeah, it's like super awkward. I
always want to play with that expansion.
It might not be super balanced, maybe not. But maybe it's first come, first served. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really matter. Maybe
it's the same. It's the same for everyone.
Yeah, but you have to balance the games yourself sometimes. A game can't be perfectly balanced. The players has to, I mean, if I don't want Andreas to have that one, I need to take it. Yeah, that's just how it is. So I played this once, and I really like it too. But it's just one play, so I can't really put it on this list.
Yeah,
but it's a solid game.
So that's my number 15, Suburbia.
So number 14 is you have mentioned it earlier, Joseph, but you mentioned it like a 3-game thingy, whatever. It's Pandemic. I can't read Pandemic.
Are you clumping them together now then, with the legacy and everything?
I have done that for the last few years, but now I think I like your version better now, because when I ranked everything individually, a couple of the legacy games were a bit higher up.
Yeah, I understand that. So this is normal Pandemic then?
So this is normal Pandemic, yes.
But is it also like Fall of Rome?
No, Fall of Rome is further down. I really like Fall of Rome, but it's outside my top 25. Okay. I think I like the normal Pandemic more because my wife is a nurse and she likes the theme of that. We play this. And we have a lot of interesting expansions for this. Can't say I like the thing that you need when you start to cure things in a lab or something. I think it's called In the Lab.
Have you played the one with the traitor yet?
No.
I heard it's so bad, but I want to try it because I want to
play
be the
with
traitor.
Mats at some point.
Yeah.
Mats being the traitor or something, that would be fun. But like the first expansion and a couple of them are really, really good to increase the difficulty. It feels like I've clumped up everything that's pandemic here in one go. It's also they've also released the pandemic hot zone, which is so it's also in this mix now. So because I play that as well with my daughter, she's almost 7. Pandemic it is a good system. It's not perfect, but it's good. I think I can really recommend the hot zone thing. It's like 30 minutes instead of 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. You get the same feeling, I think. Like it's the same system.
Like half the board, remove one disease, make it a tiny bit easier on the rules. So
my number 14 has already been mentioned also by you. So this is also one of my new games. This was the last game I beat you in, Josef, as well.
What? You mean the last ever? Like it's never going to happen again?
No. This was the last game we played that I beat you in. So
I thought you meant it was forever.
No. Yeah, I'm probably not going to beat you anymore anyway. So, anyways, but this is Dune Imperium. We already said all the really, really fun. I like it both solo and I like it also in multiplayer. I think it's a really solid, good design in terms of, and I also like you said it really well in games where every action really matters and you have to sort of really plan ahead to build up, and then someone comes and takes that place from you. It's like, oh, okay, you have to find this new way around to get where you want to go. I think it's excellent.
How was it you said a few days ago when we played it? I think you said something like you don't need enemies when you have friends, something like that.
Yeah. This is the perfect game for that, I think.
Not that I attacked you or anything.
No, not really.
I would never do that.
I mean, no, that's forbidden according to
and actually I played a card that said every other player loses a garrison unit. I can't help that you were the only one that had garrison unit at that point, Mats. That's not my fault.
Bad planning, Mats.
Yeah, that was like you planned poorly and
blah 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 blah. Always the same thing. Always attacking me, but always an excuse. So anyway, I still like the game.
You like the game, but you don't like the players.
Don't play the game. Hate the player.
Yeah, exactly. All right, yeah, that's a good one. So my number 14 was number 6 last year, and this has been my number 1 as well back in the days. So this has dropped quite a bit, but it's fine where it is now. Still like the game, of course. It's Gaia Project. So Gaia Project is now number 14, which of course, basically, I haven't played it since last year. I only played it on Steam, and I didn't like the Steam implementation that much. They did something really strange where they added new iconography, which I think sort of, if you're new to the game and you just purchase it on Steam, then maybe it makes sense because maybe it's better. But for someone like me that played Gaia Project a lot, then it's just weird when all of a sudden it's a different icon. I'm like, what does this action do again? Like, I don't know.
Icon was that?
That's weird.
All the action.
Okay.
As I remember it, I don't know. I have a video that's doing very well right now. A lot of people are watching that video of me playing Gaia Project on Steam and just whining the whole video. So obviously people enjoy that because they keep watching that. But yeah,
the developers looking at to see how not to implement the game.
And I got some comments, people saying like, no, you can click the little thing in the settings so it looks more like the board game. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So maybe I'm just wrong here. But
cranky old man.
The game is amazing though. Gaia Project is such a good game. It's as if you've been watching the channel, I talked about this so much, and it's do I need to say this again? That I have my name on the game box because we were beta testing. I don't need to say that again.
Me too.
Just, bragging.
I also have my name on your game box, Joseph. I wrote it down just to be part of it too.
Well, you kind of created like half of the game with like the graphic layout. Anyway, so
I haven't played Gaia Project in a very long time. When me and Mats were at this convention a few weeks back, it was fun though because some of the there were a few people who wanted to play that game, and they were discussing and they were like holding Gaia Project in their hands, and I was just there looking at other games. I was like, open the lid. look here. You see here. That was fun. That was really fun. They were like, whoa, you have to teach us the game. I was like, no, I don't remember. That was fun. We really need to play that.
That's one. We really need to play this one. This is absolutely something we should play.
Us scratch, scratch everything else.
We said that last time, I think, too. So
no, but this is like priority. This one and Robinson Crusoe you mentioned earlier. This is priority.
This is priority.
And Anachrony as well as a priority.
And Anachrony and okay. We need more time, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Okay,
stop rambling here.
What's your number 13?
My number 13
is it a good game?
Yeah, it's a super awesome game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it was number 16 last year.
Oh,
it has been number 9, but it's like moving up and down.
Finding a sweet spot here.
And I don't really know why, because I haven't even played it since last time. But
you haven't played it since the last time?
Exactly. That's funny. Since the last time we did this, but the more I think about this, and the more I want to play it, and I even set this game up at one time, but then someone didn't show up or whatever. I can't remember what it was. It is The Pursuit of Happiness by Adrian Abela and David Shearcop, released in 2015. It's amazing worker placement game. It has super awesome theme. It's a bit heads down, but who cares? Like, I really enjoy.
It's on the priority list too, shall I?
Yeah, it should be.
This is like, like in the last couple of months, I was like, we should play this. I was like, no, there is another expansion coming now, because I haven't played the last one yet. I can't remember the name.
The Dreams or something. Yeah. And then there's like a crime one, right?
And now I will receive probably after New Year, maybe, hopefully, we'll get the big box and the nostalgia expansion.
So this is what we do in January, then?
Yeah, hopefully. So the Pursuit of Happiness is a game where you try to live the life that you always dreamt of. It has this fun aspect of time management or worker management, sort of. It's like your workers in the game is a number of rounds long, and you get older and older, and each round you have access to a certain amount of time, and then if you want money, you need to work, but then you have to spend a lot of time on doing that. So sometimes when you play, you just end up living the normal life. Is like you end up having a job and a wife and a kid and some board games on a shelf, and then you don't have any time left to do anything.
So then you're
fun.
Playing a game about living a life like you're already living.
Yeah, it's like, and then I try to play it.
But then you might like go to space or whatever, like as a
but it's and then you can, like I remember once trying not having a job, just trying to get on while just doing small projects that gave me some money here and there. That was really fun, super challenging though. But it's a game where you can really test new things, and it's fun that when you play it, you tell stories around the table what you're doing and why you're doing it, and
we play it the thematic way, like
it's a solid mechanics as well. It's a resource conversion game, Euro style, whatever. Good expansions as well. So that is my number 13, The Pursuit of Happiness.
Solid pick. It's just outside my top 25, so I think it's don't have it here, but I think it's around 28, 29 something.
You just bought that, right?
Yes, I did, actually.
Very good.
Now I'm going to develop a new solo mode.
It already has a good solo mode, in my opinion.
It's not a good solo mode.
It has.
It's just sort of giving you a sort of a challenge. It doesn't do anything else. Apart from you pick up 3.
Listen to Mats, Joseph.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. So another new game on my list is it's not a new game. It's been on my list, but further down. But I played it more frequently now, and it's really growing me. It's Clans of Caledonia. I think that's
good choice.
It has really 2 things I like about it: area control on the board, trying to grow your sort of presence on the board, and also then the market aspect. I think the market aspect is probably the number 1 thing about that game. I think it's fun. If you're selling, you're decreasing the price. If you're buying, you're increasing the price. So it's a really good mechanism on that and how that works. And I also like that fact that you sort of, if you're close to someone else doing something, you can trigger an effect on that when you're building, etc. I think it's really
it's similar to Termistic and Gaia Project
in those senses, yeah. Exactly. But I think I prefer this over both of those games. Actually, due to the market aspect, it's not running up some tracks. It's more sort of working your player board, removing as many things as you can, and also then the sort of influencing the market maybe, or trying to utilize that to your benefit.
It also has really cool asymmetrical powers.
Yeah, I like that.
So. It also has cows and sheep.
So
depending and whiskey.
Depending on which Scottish clan you end up on, you have to play the game a bit different, and I really like that about it.
So this was 12 last year, so it seems to be solid in place. And this is again cheating. This is like 4 games in one slot, but it is a game system. It's called Legendary Encounters. So it's like different games in that system. And this game is just so good. And it is a deck builder, but is there hand management? Would you say it's hand management, Andreas, or is it just deck building?
Or deck building, I would say.
You have to spend your entire hand each time.
But right? How you spend it is different.
Okay. So it has it has a tiny amount of hand.
No, I mean you're trying to build and optimize your deck to synergize with yourself. So it's more of a deck building than hand management, I would say.
And I still think that Alien is the best one. And
I agree.
It was almost like a shock to me earlier this year when I talked to an old friend. I was at his house and I saw that, oh, you have the Alien game, Legendary Encounter Alien. I'm like, oh, that's a really good game. And then he says like, yeah, and I got the new expansion as well. And I'm like, what? I haven't even heard about this expansion. I totally missed this. There's actually an expansion where you can play Prometheus. Like you can play the new movies, like on new, but so it adds on, so you can play because you play a movie, you play Alien 1 or Alien 2 or 3 and so on. And I didn't know that. And I went to Board Game Geek and I'm like, what? Is there a Prometheus expansion? And I love Prometheus. Wow, that movie. So I need to get that at some point. And I don't even have the base game. I never owned the Alien game. I owned some of the other ones, but I need to get the Alien game. I need to buy that and just leave it all and get the expansion. I played the first expansion was that you added like one versus many game. So one was the Alien Queen and everyone else is playing against that player. And I only tried that once being one of those co-op players, but I really need to get that as well so I can play against. I love being the one versus many in games.
Yeah, I already mentioned it is my favorite deck building game, just outside for top 25, but I agree with everything.
Is it my favorite deck building?
Might be, but
hard to say. I have games higher up that have deck building in them, but maybe this is the purest deck builder highest on my list, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't played that, but I played the Legendary Marvel. I think that's pretty fun as well. So I mean, I would really like to try the.
I think you would
Aliens.
enjoy this because this builds on that engine, but it adds more things. So it's better in that way. And I really like one thing I really like in this one that you have in so many other games, like even in June Imperium, you have this where the cards combo, like they belong to different sets. So if I already played one of these green cards and I play another green card, then I will get a special effect, right? Just like the bonds in June Imperium. And you have that in, like, of course, Hero Realms and a lot of Star Realms, a lot of other games as well. But it's very well done in this one. You really build your deck, as it's a co-op game as well. So Andreas might be focusing on the green cards, and I'll focus on the reds, and we have a discussion about what card should we get, and then we can coordinate to each other. There's so much really good stuff in this.
Yeah. So my number 12 has been on the list, or top 20, since I started making lists 6 years ago. It used to be almost my favorite game, but it's moved down, but still really good. It's Caverna: The Cave Farmers by Uwe Rosenberg.
Yeah,
released in 2013. I really like this worker placement sandbox thing. It feels like
Smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord, exactly. So compared to Agricola, where you are you have to play by the cards that you're dealt.
It was very restricted. You have to get a sheep. You have to get a cow. You have to get like everything.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's like it's sort of the same game, but just flips it and makes it more open. And It's still very competitive if you want to play it like that. So I play it with I played it with so many people. Some who play it very competitively and some who not. And I like every aspect of that. I like to play the farming strategy or the
cave.
Animals, or the cave or the fighting, whatever you call it. Can't remember the
adventuring.
Word. Adventuring, or some combination of it. It also has a really good expansion where it adds factions to it or asymmetric powers. For me, I don't need. I personally don't need that expansion. I think it adds good variation, but I don't need it. So it doesn't like some games you have to have an expansion added. This is depending on who you play with. If you play with new players, play with expansion because that gives them something like if you are good with farming, then focus on that. Then it's like when playing with more competitive persons, I've found that some of the rooms might be better than others. If you end up playing with people like that, just try to snag them before they do. Even though if you don't know how to use them properly, you will mess up their plans. It's really fun. I've done that a couple of times. I'm quite good at the game, but not at that level, maybe. Caverna, the Cave Farmers, really good game. I would really like to play this soon.
I'll
okay.
Not on the priority list. I just
for me it's further down the priority. I had a lot of fun with this, but this is like back in the days fun for me. I don't know if I really need to play it.
Good memories.
Okay, so my number 11 has been mentioned already.
Number 12.
Number 12. It's a good thing I don't skip one because I would have been. So since we're now into the really good games.
Sorry, I forgot to have to say that.
This is really where Hansa Teutonica fits in. Because I think that's a brilliant game. Very few components. You're having some wooden cubes and some wooden circle guys and a game board. And you have such a good time with that game. It's amazing. I think it's so simple to teach, but so deep on strategies and how you can play that game. So it's fantastic.
I have nothing to add. I still need to play
it. Neither do I. Good summary, Mats. Well done.
Okay, so my number 12 is brand new for the list, but it's not a new game. But this game came out at the same time, at the same Spiel as Keyforge, and that's why I sort of missed this game at first. But now I caught up to it, and I have almost everything for it. It's called Marvel Champions. So Marvel Champions is one of the games I played the most this year, but a lot solo. I played it with Mats as well, I think it was this year. Yeah. And I played it on camera and so on, and with new expansions and all that. It's not a deck builder. You have your fixed deck, but you deck build a little bit. You can deck build before you start playing. I don't usually call those games deck builders, but you can sort of mix and match. So if I'm Spider-Man, then I have the Spider-Man cards. I can't change that, but I can and then I have the basic cards. I can't change. I can have different basic cards. But then I can have like an aspect to me, so I can be like aggressive Spider-Man or a protective Spider-Man or leadership Spider-Man. And depending on that, it changes a lot how you play and how you strategize. And then, of course, depending on which boss you're fighting, which scenario you're fighting. A really good game, and this has so much variability, so many different characters. It's one of those Fantasy Flight LCGs where they release new hero packs, they release new boss packs, scenarios. There's some campaigns as well. I haven't finished the campaign yet. I really want to play the Red Skull, the first one. It looks fun. I'm going to play that with Mats. We talked about that. And this is a great 2 or 3 player game, I would say, or solo. It's a huge game in the solo community. A lot of people love this solo, but I solo play with 2 characters all the time. This is not as complex though, as I talked about Spirit Island or something. This is way more easygoing. Then they just released the Thanos expansion with Thanos campaign, and I really want to play that because like my connection to the Marvel universe is mostly the MCU. So I haven't really been. I mean, I think it's been at least 20 years since I read a comic book. So some of these heroes that show up, I'm like, oh, I have no idea who She-Hulk is. Like I didn't even know she existed. So I prefer. I think I will. I think the game will peak for me at the Thanos thing because I love the Avengers movies. So, have you tried this, Andreas?
No, I haven't.
I think you would like it. I think you would like I think you would appreciate the mechanics of the game more, maybe.
This is a lot of hand management in this
It's
game.
a lot. This is pure hand management. It's basically your cards are also your money. So if I want to play a card, then I need to discard other cards to pay for it. So then, like, oh, do I want to discard this card because it's really good? I want to keep this for later because you draw up to your hand size in between rounds, but you keep cards in between rounds. So you're really trying to set up like long-term combos and. Yeah, the combos here are amazing as well, and between the players as well. So, like if I'm playing with Mats, then I could have a draw card effect, but I'm not using it. Mats can use it on my turn, on his turn. Yeah. He can use my card if I haven't used it already.
Yeah, me and my son, we started playing the sort of Guardians of the Galaxy campaign, and we played, of course, as Groot and Rocket. So they can trigger each other when you're playing them. So it's pretty funny. This was a game that really grew on me when we played Joseph together because then it came to me like, wow, this is actually really good. It hasn't made my top list yet, but it's getting pretty close. It was really, really close on hitting the top 30. So,
and that's also cool. They introduced that in, I think, in the Guardians of Galaxy expansion, where you have these like pairs, so they work together. You have like Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah.
So they have like combo cards that combo with each other. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think we should play this at some point on like 3 or 4 and see how you guys like it. I think you would like it more, Andreas, than Emily would. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys like Marvel. Do you? We never talked about that.
It's okay. I've seen like the Iron Man movies. Some Spider-Man. I think I've seen the Spider-Man movies, maybe not the most recent ones.
Yeah, and it's so thematic integrated in the mechanics. So if you're playing Iron Man, then you're starting off just in your lab, but you need to like assemble your suit before you become really powerful.
And also that's pretty because your hand limit is restricted to the number of gadgets you have.
Yeah,
I think it was also very fun when you played Ant-Man and you sort of fold up the card, growing in size and getting smaller, and all this really cool triggering stuff. So
it's really, I love Ant-Man. How like I remember when I got the Ant-Man pack, I was like, what? I can't. How am I supposed to sleeve this card because the card folds out it's
like an A4 in size.
Such a cool game, Marvel Champions. I would just want to keep playing this more. It's gonna get a lot of table time, I think, in the future for me as well.
Yeah, I'll join you on some of those occasions.
So we only have one more to go in this segment.
Number 11 has dropped from place 7.
Oh, so it's bad game now?
It's a super bad game. So now we reach the bad games again. So number 11.
It's a little hump just before you get into the super mega good games, right?
Yeah, it used to be number 3.
Oh, wow.
And it was number 7. And now it's number 11. It's The Voyages of Marco Polo. Released in 2015.
What's wrong with you? Come on.
You need to zoom in on Mats this time around. Designed by Simone Luciani and Daniel Taccini. I think it's no longer my favorite worker placement game. It used to be.
I know what your favorite worker placement game is.
You might think you know. It's it used to be. It's still super good. I haven't played this in a long while. I haven't played it since. I think it was before the pandemic started. So that might influence my judgment here. The best thing about Marco Polo is the absurd player, asymmetry.
It's crazy.
It makes the game for me. It's really tight on resources. You're always like trying to find another coin or another camel because you need them to travel along these crazy routes through Asia or whatever, trying to fulfill objectives and reach cities and whatever. It's and then I like the worker placement because like if you're first somewhere, it's like depending on which pip value you place your die on. It's the strength of the action most of the time. And then if you're first, you don't have to pay anything, but you're not blocking, but it makes everything much more expensive everyone else. It's super fun. But the best thing is the asymmetric play powers. So the Voyages of Marco Polo, number 11. Mats, what's your number 11?
My number 11 is Castles of Burgundy. I still like this game. I mean, I have played it quite a lot. It dropped from number 6 last year, but still it's sort of, I mean, it's not a game that I usually don't pull out of the shelf so often, but whenever I play it, it's like I have such a good time.
Yeah.
I like the puzzle and the satisfaction when you get things to fall into place here in terms of optimizing and comboing your turns to get the everything in place. I think it's such a rewarding game in that sense, but it also can be very frustrating in terms of I just need this and that and then to make the whole thing. So yeah, I like. Yeah, you have it on your list as well. So it's a good game, I think.
It is a really good game. Now, this is something you need to mark down because I talked about this when it was further down on my list. It was
the co-op
26. No, the team thing. Like
team.
Yeah, you can play 2 versus 2. We talked about that, but we never.
Yeah, that would be fun.
We have to try that out.
It's on the priority list.
That sounds really fun. And
this used to be in my top 15, like top 10, top 15, but it's moved outside now. It's just around 30 somewhat. Just like I just rank it barely before the Castle of Tuscany now.
What?
The sequel.
Oh wow.
Which also, I think is really, really good. Sort of for me makes sort of the same feeling ish half the time.
I agree.
It's a good game. But there are other better games.
Oh yeah, there are better games.
Yeah, there's 10 games he prefers.
10 better that I like more. 10 games of them. So.
All right, my number 11 that will end this segment today and just missed the top 10. This is a game that I know some people in this room really enjoys. This is A Feast for Odin from Uwe Rosenberg. And
does Draco like that, or?
He's a bit scared of the elk. But he likes the actual game. He likes the Vikings and all that.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing game.
It is really good. It's like and this is not spoiler. This is not my favorite worker placement game anymore. But anyway, we'll get to that next week. but I really love the worker placements in this one. If you just talk about a pure, like the sort of essential feeling that you get with Agricola and Caverna, you get it here in multiples, like all those spaces you can go to, all those different strategies you can go for and branch out. And when I play this, I usually start off with some kind of strategy in my mind, but then after like half the game, I'm totally doing something else. Like, I'm going whale hunting. Like I didn't plan for that, but for some reason, some card showed up with some bonus effect on that, or maybe the space was available. It was a good space, and you draw these random weapons. So, I ended up with a lot of traps. Well, maybe I should go hunting then. It's so much fun. Like whatever I do in this game, I'm having a good time. I think the least favorite part for me is, well, it's not, I don't know, the Tetris puzzle part for me is like, my brain doesn't work for that. Like this, putting these pieces, like I have to take the actual piece and like try it out because my brain doesn't work, so I can't see the patterns. But it's just a part of the game. I love the worker placement part. Is the main part, right? So, and I think we will talk more about this in next week's episode as well.
Might happen, but I just have to ask you, Josef, have you ever tried of getting more exploration boards?
Yeah, like, I tried that, and not like you though. You tried like 3 or whatever at some point, right?
Yeah, it's like, so when you're tired of doing this puzzling thing, then you get 3 additional boards. It's like, and then I ended up having so much things or stuff at one point, so I was like, I don't need to put these down anywhere until it's at the end of the game.
Yeah, and the worst thing is that
I need 10 minutes. I need to puzzle.
Yeah, then me and Emily was like, okay, we can go play some 2-player game because Andreas is going to sit here for like 10 minutes and puzzle. But it also should say that I really like this one with the expansion, the Norwegians. It adds so much good stuff to
And I have heard so much good things about the Danish expansion, which is coming maybe next year.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I played this game also now, but I think for me,
you were totally burned out, Mats.
Yeah, I never seen you so burned out, Mats.
The whole flipping things and making how this becomes this. Okay, how? So, but I mean, now that I know basic concept of how that works,
I think you need to play
will like the game
another
more,
time.
So
this is not the kind of game you can play once. I mean, you need, or like, of course you can just ignore it if you didn't like it, but I think, you need to play it multiple times to get into the mindset.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, there's a lot of good things about this game that I also like, the worker placement part and all that kind of thing. And I do like the puzzle bit. So I like the mix of everything. Yeah. It's just that it was kind of overwhelming the first time. And I think that's because it's a big game, right? It's a huge game.
A big game. And this was back in the summer when we played this one. And then we had like dinner. And then we played Dune Imperium, and everyone was like already brain burned.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
from Feast of Odin. So I think everyone got like a bad impression of Dune Imperium at that time because it was like we didn't have the mental energy to handle that.
No. Yeah, if Caverna is a sandbox, I'm not even sure how to describe Feast of Odin.
It's like a desert, like Sahara Desert or something.
Well, Caverna is a smorgasbord, and a Feast for Odin is like a Swedish Yule board. Or like a Christmas party with your colleagues when everyone's drinking and eating
on the Finland ferry.
Yeah. It's a feast, right? So
it's a feast. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, so that was the list. Pretty long one, but I'm happy that we decided to split this up.
How long did it take? Roughly 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes and 2 hours, something like that. But I mean, imagine if we would have gone for a whole 10 more now. I think it's good that we split it up because then we will have new energy and we can focus more on the next segment.
Hopefully we'll live as well.
Hopefully in person, live here.
Not live, but we will be person.
Yeah, that was the plan. So. But
I'm feeling good now. I got a bit of a sneeze yesterday, but I don't know. It's probably passed. So we'll hopefully be seeing you, or you will be seeing us next week you'll see us next week, but in person. And also, we are doing, next one will be just like this one. It will be a premiere, so you can still be in the chat and like bash on our, or cheer for our picks.
So we need all to bash on Andreas' picks because they usually suck at top 10.
Yeah, I feel like Matt's got too much.
I think he's like all the good games he's already burned. So maybe there's a one or two. It's still there, but
you should see my top 10. It's amazing.
Did he mention?
I can imagine.
Did he mention Maxi Yahtzee? Yes.
Don't spoil my number one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Maxi Yahtzee is still a better game than
Martians,
A Story of Civilization.
All right.
It's ranked 319, Maxi Yahtzee.
We'll see you next week for another episode. Hope you'll join us then as well. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, if you're watching this afterwards, then tell us in the comment section what you think about our selections here. And hope you had a good time watching. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Draco, for sitting around with your Christmas suit and looking pretty. And take care and have a great evening or whenever you're watching. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.